Ever been in a meeting or conversation and suddenly your brain just goes blank? You hear the words, but it's like they're not going in. You're there, but somehow not there. If you've ever wondered why this happens and why it happens more for ADHD brains, you're about to find out. And no, it's not because you're not paying attention, not trying hard enough, or not smart. It's your brain doing something it thinks is helping. All right. So you're in a work meeting. Someone starts explaining a project update, 5 steps, new timelines, with a few acronyms thrown in. Halfway through, your brain hits a wall. Suddenly, you're thinking, what did they just say? Or maybe it's in a casual conversation. A friend is telling you a story, your head is nodding, but your mind, totally gone. And then you realize that you've missed the last 5 sentences and panic, thinking, please don't ask me a question right now. If this feels familiar, you're not alone. And there's actually a good reason why this happened. In ADHD brains, we've got a few things working against us here. First, working memory. This is your brain's sticky note system for holding and juggling information. ADHD brains have less reliable sticky notes and not as many, so incoming information piles up and falls off fast. Second, executive function bottleneck. This is your brain's CEO deciding in real time what's important. When info comes at you quickly, especially in a group setting, you can't prioritize fast enough. Your brain's trying to file it all at once and jams. Third, sensory and emotional overload. In those group settings, you're not just processing the words, you're tracking tone, facial expressions, the vibe in the room, your own thoughts, and maybe a side conversation happening a couple seats over. That's a lot. And here's the kicker, your brain doesn't see overload as, oh, it's too much to track. It sees it as a threat. And that triggers your stress response, fight or flight, freeze or shutdown. For a lot of ADHD women, freeze or shutdown is the default. So in real life, this might sound like my brain just goes blank, or it's like the words are coming at me, but not going in, or I'm hearing it, but it's like I'm not there. This isn't laziness. It's your brain hitting the eject button from too much input while still looking like you're sitting there engaged. Inside, though, your nervous system is telling a different story, and it's trying to get you back to safety. So, one reason ADHD women notice this more is that many of us have years, decades even, of masking. We're already working harder than most people realize to keep up, look engaged, and remember the details without saying stupid stuff. Not that it's actually stupid, but you know. So when we hit that overload point, there's just no reserve left. And when we're in environments where we don't feel 100% safe, like a high stakes meeting or a conversation where we feel judged, the shutdown happens even faster. Because now it's not just about processing information, it's about protecting ourselves. So here's the reframe. You're not zoning out because you don't care. You're not blanking because you're failing. This is your brain protecting you from overload. It's like a breaker switch in a house. Too much running through the system, and bam, everything goes quiet to prevent a meltdown. When you start to see it as a built in safety feature, not a character flaw, you can stop beating yourself up and start learning how to work with it. So, there are ways to support your brain so that this happens less often and so you can recover faster when it does. I'm talking about tiny pre meeting rituals that make your brain less likely to overload, ways to anchor yourself in a conversation so that you don't get swept away, and signals you can watch for that tell you that you're headed towards shutdown before you're fully there. We cover some of these in other videos, but for now, just notice, when does this tend to happen to you? What's the environment? Who's around? The more awareness you build, the more choice you have in how you respond. So, if you've experienced this, your brain going blank in the middle of too much input, I'd love to hear about it. Drop your story in the comments so we can normalize this for other ADHD women who think they're the only ones. And if you're ready to start building those small ADHD friendly supports for your brain, check out the video on the screen now. I'll see you there.